Cambridge Half Marathon is now just 6 weeks away. So I just want to give you guys my top 5 tips for running your first half marathon, which to be honest will be helpful even if you've done as many as I have. So without further ado, let's roll the intro and get stuck right into it. Hello, I'm Nick. Welcome to or welcome back to NRG Runs. In this one, it's all about the half marathon distance. So I've got Cambridge Half Marathon coming up. I was actually approached by Addenbrooke's Charitable Trust, who've got about 200 runners doing the Cambridge Half. And they said, would I like to make a video just to give my tips? So here we are, but I thought I'd put it out on the channel and hopefully help a few more people that are perhaps taking on 13.1 miles or 21.1k for the very first time. So just very quickly about me, I've been running since 2010, so that's when I did my first half marathon, and to be honest I was hooked and it's been my favourite distance ever since. So I've actually lost count about how many half marathons I've done, but Cambridge has been the one I've targeted for each of the last 3 years now. And yeah, slowly been improving my time each year. So thought I'd share some of the knowledge I've gained over that 15-year period and hopefully help a few more people either do their first or perhaps improve on their times if they've done one before. So tip number 1 is know your why. Why are you doing this? Why is it important to you? So if you're running for the Addenbrooke Charitable Trust, you've probably got some kind of connection to the local Cambridge NHS Trust, and your why might be related to that. For me, my why for running in general is it makes me feel good, it keeps me fit and healthy, and I love the social element of it too. So anytime I'm going into training, if I remind myself why I'm doing this, I'm much more likely to be able to get through that plan successfully and get to the race day ready for what's in store. So think about your why and use it to motivate you in the days where, let's be honest, maybe the weather's a bit rubbish and you don't really fancy it. Remind yourself of why you're doing this. It will help you get out that door and get you prepared for the half marathon coming up. So number 2, I touched on it briefly, but have a plan. If you don't have structure to your training, then you're much less likely to succeed and follow it through. So there's plenty of plans online that you can look at. You may already have one that you're following, but even if you're not, have a look, see what you can find, see what fits in with the current amount of running you're doing, so it's not taking on too much too soon, but it is giving you some structure. And without going into too much detail, really what you're looking for is a mixture of easy runs like I'm doing now, conversational pace, maybe one faster run a week, faster than your pace that you're hoping to achieve for the half marathon, and then one long run each week where you're building it up over time and just getting yourself prepared for that distance. And the other thing to say about having a plan is it helps you to build up slowly. If this is the first time you're ever going to be running 13.1 miles or 21.1k, then the worst thing you can do is build up those miles, kilometers too quickly, and what may well happen then is you'll get injured and that might put the race in jeopardy. So you want to build up gradually. 10% is a rule a lot of people follow. It's not perfect, it has its problems, but yeah, as a general guide, don't increase the total mileage for a week more than 10%. And don't worry about trying to run the distance before you get to the race. This is the first time you've done it, and actually running say 10 miles, 16 kilometers, maybe 11 miles, 18 kilometers, that type of distance, that is more than enough in your training to get you A, to the start line and ultimately to that finish line. Tip number 3 is practice everything. So whether it's your nutrition, your hydration, or what kit you're going to wear on the day, practice. Wear that kit, run at the time that you're going to be running on the race day. What breakfast are you having on the morning? Do that before one of your long runs in your training. How does it sit? Are you going to take fuel during the race? We have a limited amount of glycogen which comes from carbs, and so unless you're running less than 90 minutes for a half marathon, you're going to need some fuel to help your body get through that distance. So again, practice makes perfect. You've got to try these things. Some people use gels, some people have sweets, gummies, there's chewables, there's all different things out there, and ultimately what works for you will be different, and so you need to practice and find out what works. And one thing you may well have heard before, but it's always worth repeating, is with all that practice, it then ultimately means nothing new on race day. Cannot stress that enough, and many of us runners have learned the hard way. So if this is your first half marathon, I urge you to practice the kit, what you're wearing, your running shoes, the hydration, how much drinking water during the race, and ultimately your nutrition as well, both before the race, maybe in the days leading up, and then during the race itself. There is no substitute for practice. Practice makes perfect. So tip number 4 is prioritize rest and recovery. Now we've touched on the importance of having a plan, and of course the running that you do over a period of time and that consistency, if it's you're running 3 days a week, 4 days a week, whatever it might be, that consistency over time will make a massive difference in your experience for the first half marathon that you ever do. But equally important, believe it or not, is how you recover from that running that you're doing and the rest that you get and give to your body. Now how it works is the gains that we get from running are absorbed by our body through rest and recovery. So if we're running too fast in all of our training and then not getting maybe a protein shake after a long run or a speed session, or we're not getting enough sleep, then what that means is the gains that you could be getting from the running and training you're doing will not be fully utilized. So it's often an overlooked part of any running training plan, but the rest and recovery that you get is going to make a massive difference to your training. And yes, we all live very busy lives. I don't have children personally. That's a lie. I'm a very proud cat dad to him. So I probably get more sleep than most. But wherever you can, try and prioritize it, particularly when you're thinking about in the week leading up to the race, what can you do that will help you feel fit and fresh, ready for the start line. It's just getting as much sleep as you can, and that could really make a difference to your race. Related to that also is the taper. Now this might be a new concept for some people, but effectively instead of building up your mileage as you get closer to the half marathon, a couple of weeks out, at least 1 week out, you want to start bringing that down, so your body, as we've just talked about, has time to rest and recover ahead of race day. So you might want to do your longest run, depending on kind of your schedule, between 2 to 3 weeks out from race day. So maybe that's 10-11 miles, 16 to 18 kilometers. And then after that point, just start reducing your mileage a little bit. So it might be, instead of that long run going even further the following week, you just drop it down by a couple of miles, a few kilometers. But yeah, follow that plan obviously, but yeah, don't forget to taper. When we get to like the last week of training, you can't make any more gains. What you've got is what you've got, and all you can do is maybe damage your chances of feeling fresh come race day. So find a balance, don't drop off completely, still keep that structure of running that you've been doing, but reduce some of the volume and intensity so you're feeling fresh come race day. And tip number 5 is enjoy it. That's right, you've worked so hard in your training, you've probably run further than you ever have done before, so it's about enjoying the race. If I could give one piece of advice, is try not to obsess too much about your time. Yes, you have to have a rough idea of the sort of pace that you want to run on race day, but don't obsess about that. This is the first time you're doing that distance, and therefore by default you're going to get a personal best, a personal record, and so just try and enjoy that experience. If you do, you're much more likely to want to sign up to another race and maybe beat that time next time around. So yes, it's fantastic if you've got a time goal in mind and you reach it, but I think what's more important is trying to enjoy that race day experience. Cambridge Half Marathon, so I've done it the last 2 years now. The atmosphere is fantastic. If you're the sort of person that really enjoys the crowds, get them involved. If you're not, you know, you can just dial in and do your own thing, but honestly, the experience of running with lots of other people, thousands of people at Cambridge, can be a fantastic experience, and I urge you to try and enjoy it as much as you can. And let's think back to what we said at the start, knowing your why, that will help you when it gets hard, because it will get hard. Half marathons are hard and you've got to be prepared for that, but know what your why is. Maybe come up with a mantra or two which you can tell yourself when the going gets tough, and try as much as you can to keep smiling and enjoy it. And I'm telling you, like me, you'll probably be back for more. You'll probably have a combination of nerves and excitement as you go into that race day, but that's perfectly natural. And yes, you probably won't sleep very well the night before, but as I mentioned earlier, you know, if you prioritize sleep in the days leading up, you'll be absolutely fine. Just want to also talk about imposter syndrome very quickly. When you're doing something for the first time, it's really easy just to feel like, no, this isn't for me, I can't do this. The truth is, nobody is really looking at what you're doing, they're concentrating on themselves. Even me holding up a camera, you know, for many times when I was first doing this, I was super self-conscious and yeah, just really kind of like apprehensive and thinking everyone would be looking at me. And to be honest, the vast majority of people do not care. So you're not probably going to have a camera with you, so nobody in the nicest possible way is gonna care what you do. So do not worry, you've done the training, and just try and enjoy the race. Now for that bonus tip. This applies to absolutely any race, but gotta say it for those doing their first, and it's do not go off too fast. Can't say it, I'll stress it enough. You're gonna have that kind of buzz of excitement and nerves running through you, and however you're feeling, it's so easy to go off too fast. So just rein it in. Whatever you think you can maintain for the whole race, probably just drop back very slightly from that pace and build into it. A half marathon, it's a long way, particularly if it's your first time doing the distance, so don't overdo it by going out too fast in that first 5k. So finally, I just want to say a massive good luck to everyone who's got a half marathon coming up, particularly of course anyone running for the Addenbrooke Charitable Trust. If you do see me prior to the race or afterwards, come say hello, I'd love that. And yeah, just want to wish you all the best. And if you've got a half marathon or an important race coming up, then please do let me know in the comments. We'd love to hear what people have got planned. So if you enjoyed the video, please do give it a like, subscribe to the channel if you want to join me on my journey as I train for a sub-3 marathon in 2025. If you've got a marathon coming up yourself, I've also done a tips video on what not to do and what to do instead. So check that one out if you're interested, and I will see you on the next one. Cheers.